The Republic of Korea is located at the eastern end of Asia. Korea suffered through Japan's colonial rule in the early 20th century and was divided during the Cold War era. Today, it has emerged as an economic power. Korea is the only country in the world that has transformed itself from an aid recipient to a donor nation. Saemaul-undong was Korea's driving force behind overcoming such difficulties and its unprecedented development. Saemaul-undong is now a heritage for the world, gaining a place on UNESCO's Memory of the World Register. Korea was liberated from Japan's colonial rule in 1945. However, the 3 years of the Korean War left the Korean Peninsula divided and devastated people's lives. Korean society suffered through constant tension, conflicts, and political chaos in the 1960s. Per capita income was a mere $79. The Korean people were frustrated by such extreme poverty. In 1962, the first 5-year economic development plan was launched. Thanks to industrialization, Korea achieved an annual average growth rate of around 10%. Those in rural households, representing more than half of the nation's population, did not see any tangible improvements in their lives. The income gap between urban and rural areas only worsened. The poor conditions in rural areas were not only an inconvenience, but they also affected people's minds. Many people left rural areas due to the poor living conditions and low income levels. Against such a background, the most important task for the government was to lift people out of poverty. In the summer of 1969, Korea suffered severe damage from flooding. President Park Chung-hee was on his way to Busan to encourage the recovery effort when a village captured his attention. The village used to suffer flood damage every year, but people worked together to improve the village environment. Such an achievement gave President Park confidence that farmers would be able to develop their villages on their own if he could inspire the spirit of diligence, self-help, and cooperation. Based on this confidence, President Park proposed the Saemaul-undong on April 22, 1970. In the early days of Saemaul-undong, the government proposed the Village Development Project to improve the living conditions in rural areas. It provided every one of over 33,000 villages with 335 sacks of cement free of charge, and allowed residents to select and implement the project without government interference. The cement support not only improved the village's environments, but also inspired a self-help and cooperative spirit. The villages resolved many of their inconveniences and built community facilities. As a result of the first year Saemaul-undong project, nearly half of the rural villages showed better than expected achievements. The government designated these villages as outstanding villages and provided them with an additional 500 sacks of cement and 1 ton of steel bars. This reflected the government's principle to help those who help themselves. Thatched roofs and mud fences, the symbols of poverty disappeared. With wider roads and new bridges, the villages changed day by day. Such changes inspired a can-do and will-do spirit in the villagers. In 1973, the government divided the villages into three categories of basic village, self-help village, and self-reliance village, depending on their levels of development. Government differentiated the support upon the principle of preferential support for outstanding villages. Rural environment improvement projects were expanded every year. The rural living environment was modernized, providing more convenience, and community facilities and amenities were built. Such projects, which produced tangible results, were followed by income-increasing projects. The government provided support to increase farmers' incomes. It distributed new high-yield rice seed and maintained rice prices at high levels. It also changed farmers' mindset by teaching them farming technologies. Conventional farming that focused on staple grains like rice and barley was changed to combined farming. Farmers began to grow special crops, such as mushrooms and tobacco and fruit trees. They were also able to produce fresh vegetables even in the winter with the introduction of vinyl greenhouses. Farmers could reduce their individual investments by organizing cooperative units and common workplace. An increasing number of farmers raised livestock and silkworm for higher profits. Sema wool factories were built to provide jobs to women in rural areas. Such non-farming incomes helped increase total household incomes. Villages also focused on expanding agricultural production infrastructure through farmland arrangement. Based on its success in rural areas, Sema wool Undang was expanded from 1974 to cities, workplaces, factories, and schools from 1974. In the cities, the movement focused on making a beautiful and convenient city by rooting out corruption and promoting healthy social values. In the workplaces, workers pursued developing sound work ethics and practiced the social responsibility to achieve a harmonized community. In the factories, labor and management promoted together the movement for enhanced productivity and quality control under the slogan, "Treat employees like family, do factory work like my own." The schools focused on promoting the Sema wool spirit in local communities. Meanwhile, the Sema wool library movement promoted lifelong education to provide new knowledge and information and helped increase incomes by distributing various books on agricultural technologies. Sema wool Undang is a movement for a better life, not only for myself, but for all people. It is aimed at achieving a better life both physically and mentally. Benefiting both the present and future generations and leading our society and nation in a better direction. Sema wool Undang was not promoted by the government's grand plan. Rather, it was driven by the voluntary participation of farmers. Sema wool Undang is an action-oriented movement that changes people's mindsets. People develop can-do spirits and positive views by experiencing the results of their own efforts. Sema wool Undang's spirits are diligence, self-help, and cooperation. Diligence is the virtue of hard work. Self-help means that people take ownership of their lives and explore their future on their own. Cooperation means going beyond oneself with a sense of community, focusing on us, not me. Korean rural communities had a traditional cooperative culture such as Dure and Hyangnak. Based on such a tradition, the Sema wool spirit was ignited by people's aspiration to pull themselves out of poverty. Sema wool Undang is both a mental reform movement and national transformation movement, which succeeded to bring about national awareness and practice of can-do, will-do, and must-do spirit. In 1971, the government evaluated the first year of the Seima'o projects and found that every successful village had a dedicated leader. As such, Seima'o education focused on changing village leaders' mindsets and attitudes to improve their capabilities. The educated leaders played a leading role in promoting Seima'o projects by encouraging local residents. Seima'o education was not only a catalyst in accelerating Seima'o Undong, but a driving force in developing and spreading the movement. The education targeted male and female leaders in rural communities at first, but soon expanded its scope to civil servants, including ministers and vice ministers, businessmen, journalists, and religious leaders. As a result, Seima'o Undong has become a pan-national movement, creating a social atmosphere where people are willing to receive Seima'o education. In the early stages, Seima'o Undong was led by the government, but each village was granted autonomy. Back then, the Ministry of Home Affairs took charge of Seima'o Undong, and the Central Council of Seima'o Undong was established for inter-ministerial consultation and coordination. Each city, provincial, and county government had its own division to support Seima'o Undong and a promotional council. In particular, each town level Up and Myeon formed an implementation council composed of the local agency heads and Seima'o leaders to promote Seima'o Undong. Each village had a development committee led by Seima'o leader and a village head. In order to be selected as a Seima'o project, it should benefit the whole community, meet local conditions, have significant long-term effects, and be feasible with the locally available financial resources, labor, and time. Seima'o projects were implemented with the villagers first making voluntary contribution of their own labor, land, and even part of financial resources. And then external support was requested to secure necessary materials, financial resources, and technologies. The project's progress was evaluated weekly and monthly, and the annual performance was assessed by the general meeting at the end of the year. In addition, preliminary, interim, and post-evaluations help reduce errors and mistakes and develop better plans. First and foremost, Seima'o Undong contributed substantially to increasing the incomes of rural residents. Korea also achieved the self-sufficiency of staple grains in 1975. In particular, farmers' household income exceeded that of urban workers in 1974. Environment improvement projects built about 3 kilometers of road and more than 2 bridges for each village. Life in rural areas changed dramatically, with more community facilities, improved living conditions, and access to electricity and telephone services. Above all, Seima'o Undong helped people overcome defeatism and fatalism, and develop more positive mentality of a can-do and will-do spirit. Women's active participation in Seima'o Undong not only brought about change and development of the villages, but enhanced women's roles and status. Seima'o Undong became more relevant to people's real lives. The success factors of Seima'o Undong are as follows. First, the government provided systematic support and guidance based on the president's strong political commitment to promote Seima'o Undong. Second, the villagers participated in the movement voluntarily by electing leaders and selecting projects on their own. Third, the movement focused on nurturing dedicated leaders. Fourth, effective implementation strategy was carried out by providing preferential support for outstanding villages. Lastly, Seima'o projects were implemented at the village level, where a community membership and traditional culture of mutual help prevail. In 1960, Korea's per capita income was a mere $79. However, we have succeeded to overcome fatalistic poverty and to develop national confidence of a can-do and will-do spirit through Semaul Undong. We have created a dynamic society by extending the experiences and lessons from rural development to all areas of the society. Now, Semaul Undong aims to contribute to the world's prosperity in the global era. We hope that Korea's successful experience of Semaul Undong will become a seed of hope for all people around the world.